Hello one and all, and welcome to the new stream. You'll have to forgive me for a moment, but I am just setting up things. And maybe a bit of an echo. There. I had to have my stream open to make sure all the sound levels were mixing properly and that the background noise wasn't too loud. Wanted you to be able to hear my voice. But yes, this is the new channel. My name has changed. Somewhat resembles the original, but now it is Charles Lavelle. And this is my new home. A tad bit nicer than what it was before. I will not go into too many details of how things have changed because there are not many of you at this point and it would just be confusing for all those who show up after. But yes, here we are. The new theme of this channel, well, not new, slightly altered. I will still be playing video games that catch my fancy. But I will also be reading classic literature and poetry. As for tonight, this is a somewhat impromptu stream. I'm awake, so I will stream. Perhaps some poetry. I'm sure many of you out there, excuse me, I am sure many of you out there are familiar with the great poet Edgar Allan Poe. If you are not familiar with him, you are familiar with at least one of his works, which happens to be my favorite. I have loved ever since I was a child, and that is The Raven. Perhaps for this inaugural run of the channel, the new channel, I will do a reading of The Raven. Sorry about that jerky movement. It happens when I drink my coffee. Let me look through my books here. Ah, yes. Edgar Allan Poe, Complete Tales and Poems. So, pull up the book, and we shall have a read, shall we? Allow me to flip through the pages here. I know approximately where The Raven is. For it is a story. It's a poem. I almost called it a story because it is such a long poem. But a poem nonetheless. I have read it many times. Yes, here we are. The Raven by Edgar Allan Poe. So please, pull up a seat, grab yourself a coffee, a cigarette. Enjoy the warmth of the fireplace on this cool spring night, and we shall have a story of the Raven. One last sip of coffee before I begin. Once upon a midnight dreary, while I pondered weak and weary, over a many quaint and curious volumes of forgotten lore, while I nodded, nearly napping, suddenly there came a tapping, as of someone gently rapping at my chamber door. "'Tis some visitor," I muttered, tapping on my chamber door. Only this, and nothing more. Ah, distinctly I remember, it was in that bleak December, and each separate dying ember wrought its ghost upon the floor. Eagerly I wished the morrow, vainly I had sought to borrow from my book surcease of sorrow sorrow for the lost Lenore, for the rare and radiant maiden whom the angels named Lenore, nameless here forevermore. And the silken, sad, uncertain rustling of each purple curtain thrilled me, filled me with fantastic terrors never felt before, so that now to think still the beating of my heart I stood repeating, 'tis some visitor entreating entrance at my chamber door, some late visitor entreating entrance at my chamber door, that it is, and nothing more. Presently my soul grew stronger, hesitant then no longer. Sir, said I, or madam, truly your forgiveness I implore. But the fact is I was napping, and so gently you came rapping, and so faintly you came tapping at my chamber door, that I scarce was sure I heard you. Here I opened wide the door. Darkness there, and nothing more. Deep into the darkness peering, long I stood there, wondering, fearing, doubting, dreaming dreams no mortal ever dared to dream before. But the silence was unbroken, and the stillness gave no token, and the only word there spoken was the whispered word, Lenore. That I whispered, and an echo murmured back the word, Lenore. Merely this, and nothing more. Back into the chamber turning, all my soul within me burning. Soon again I heard a tapping, something louder than before. Surely, said I, surely this is something at my window lattice. Let me see then what thereat is, and the mystery explore. Let my heart be still a moment, and the mystery explore, till the wind, 'tis the wind, and nothing more. Open here I flung the shutter, with when many a flirt and flutter, in there stepped a stately raven of the saintly days of yore. Not the least obeisance made he, not a minute stopped or stayed he, but with mien of lord or lady perched above my chamber door, perched upon a bust of Pallas just above my chamber door, perched, and sat, and nothing more. Then this ebony bird beguiling my sad fancy into smiling, by the grave and stern decorum of the continents of war. Though thy crest be shorn and shaven, thou, I said, art sure no craven. Tell me Tell me what thy lordly name is on this night's Plutonian shore. Quoth the raven, nevermore. Much I marvelled this ungainly fowl to hear discourse so plainly, though its answer little meaning, little relevance bore. For we cannot help agreeing that no living human being ever yet was blessed with seeing bird above his chamber door, bird or beast upon the sculpted bust above his chamber door, with such a name as nevermore. But the raven, sitting lonely on the pallid bust, spoke only that one word, as if his soul in that one word he did outpour. Nothing further than he uttered, not a feather than he fluttered, till I scarcely more than muttered, other friends have flown before. On the morrow he will leave me, as my hopes have flown before. Then the bird said, nevermore. Startled at the stillness broken by reply so aptly spoken, doubtless, said I, what it utters is his only stock and store, caught from some unhappy master, whom unmercifully disaster followed fast and followed faster, till his song one burden bore, till the dirges of his hope that melancholy burden bore, of never, nevermore. But the raven still beguiling all my sad soul into smiling, straight I wheeled a cushioned seat in front of bird and bust and door. Then upon the velvet sinking, I betook myself to thinking, what fancy unto fancy, thinking what this ominous bird of yore, what this grim, ungainly, ghastly, gaunt, and ominous bird of yore meant in croaking, nevermore. This I sat engaged in guessing, but no syllables expressing, to the fowl whose sorry, to the fowl whose fiery eyes now burned into my bosom's core. This and more I sat divining, with my head at ease reclining, on the cushioned velvet lining that the lamplight glowed o'er, but whose velvet violet lining with the lamplight gloating o'er, she shall press, nevermore. Then methought the air grew denser, perfume from some unseen censer, swung by seraphim whose footfalls tinkled on the tufted floor. Wretch, I cried, thy God hath lent thee, by these angels he hath sent thee, respite, respite, and nepenthe from the memory of Lenore. Quaff, oh quaff this kind nepenthe, and forget this lost Lenore. Quoth the raven, nevermore. Prophet, said I, thing of evil, prophet still if bird or devil, whether tempted sent or whether tempest tossed thee here ashore, desolate yet all undaunted on this desert island, on this desert land enchanted, on this home by horror haunted, tell me truly I implore, is there balm in Gilead? Tell me I implore. Quoth the raven, nevermore. Prophet, said I, thing of evil, prophet still if bird or devil, by that heavens that bend above us, by that God we both adore, tell this soul with sorrow laden, if within the distant Aden it shall clasp a saintly maiden whom the angels named Lenore, clasp a rare and radiant maiden whom the angels named Lenore. Quoth the raven, nevermore. Be thou word our sign of parting, bird or fiend, I shrieked upstarting, get thee back into the tempest and the night's Plutonian shore. Leave no black plum as a token of the lie thy soul hath spoken. Leave my loneliness unbroken, quit the bust above my door. Take thy beak from out my heart, and take thy form from off my door. Quoth the raven, nevermore. And the raven, never flitting, still is sitting, on the pallid bust of Pallas just above my chamber door. And his eyes have all the seeming of a demon's that is dreaming, and the lamplight o'er him streaming throws his shadow on the floor. And my soul from out that shadow that lies floating on the floor shall be lifted nevermore. Ah, yes, a classic tale of madness and loss and sorrow. These are themes that Edgar Allan Poe spoke of and portrayed quite well in his stories. I suppose when a man is dying of syphilis, his mind rotting away, a little bit of madness is then known to creep in. Ah, yes. Excuse my facial expressions as I have another sip of my coffee. That one wasn't as bad as the rest. My face didn't flip and fly all over the place. And now what shall we do? What shall we read? What shall we play? What shall we twiddle away at this life with? For those of you who have not read my updated bio, my name is Charles LaVea. I am an immortal necromancer. I have decided to step into the 21st century and join those of you here on this streaming platform. I find it is quite a comfortable and impressive way of contacting those all over the world, bringing them in with your words, with your actions, with your personality. Makes it much easier for me to gain my followers and raise my army of the undead. Ah, yes. I am going to have a cigarette while we sit here and chat. It would be so much easier to chat if there was a chat to chat with. But unfortunately, as I am new in this channel, I have, well, one follower from the old channel. Hopefully they like where this channel has gone and will continue to stay and watch along the way. Oh, apparently my model does not like it when I have a cigarette. Looked like I was having a seizure for a moment there. Yes, whenever I take a drag off my cigarette, my face contorts. Oh well. It is but a fleeting moment. Yes, I wish there were more people here to chat. It would make things much more interesting. I do have some ideas for future streams when there are more people around to enjoy them. I have found some interactive horror games. Well, horror stories to be more precise. Kind of a choose your own adventure type scenario. So, when there are people around to help me make choices and enjoy the story as it is read, we shall venture into those. I also have several books that I enjoy reading that we may get some stories out of. As you have seen, I have the complete works of Edgar Allan Poe. I also have the complete works of William Shakespeare. Ah yes, and one of the crown jewels of my collection, I have Dante's Divine Comedy. All 3 stories in one. Inferno, Purgatoria, and Paradiso. So perhaps at some point we shall read through those as well. Though they can be a little, I'm not sure how to put that. They're for a certain audience. Some people just aren't into that type of literature. The language used, very Old English. Well, not quite Old English. Shakespeare was even more than Old English. He had a way of words that weren't commonly used in English anything, literature, language. But he was able to get his point across. People found emotion in his words and instinctually knew what they meant by the emotion that they portrayed. But yes, Dante's Divine Comedy originally was written in Italian and then translated in the 18th or 19th century, I can't remember. I believe it was written in the 16th century or 17th. When you live so long, your mind starts to slip. So much knowledge, such little space. Our minds can hold such an infinite amount of information for our human lifetime. But I have lived several. Multiples of several, in fact. I hope my audio is working properly. I'd hate to have gone through all this and the mic still not be working properly, not picking up my voice clearly. Using this voice, I've had to have a completely different setup with my microphone and my audio settings, but I believe it was worth it. It's a calm, natural voice. I do prefer it over having to modify my voice heavily. Well, I'm not sure what I should do tonight. Initially, I thought this would just be a very short stream. Just a little introduction to the new channel. Perhaps I will leave it with that. This will give everyone an idea of what the channel is like. And if you would like to follow me, please do. I will be, like I said, I will be moving into other entertainment such as the interactive stories, as well as old literature and other games. We shall see. Excuse me. Anyway, I suppose I shall leave it there for this evening. Perhaps I will be on again later. We shall see. Currently it is 12:30 at night, so I don't sleep well at night, so perhaps I will be on again later. We shall see. But until then, thank you for watching. Thank you for listening. You can go see my Twitter that I have set up. One moment here. Must remind myself of what it is. Oops. That's not it. Yes, here we go. Yes, you may find me at Charles_Lavelle. That is CHARLES_LAVEIL. You may find me there on Twitter, and you may find me here on Twitch, of course. So please follow. If you have suggestions for stories that you would like to hear, please feel free to let me know. I am always interested in finding new stories to read. And even if it's a story I know, I do enjoy reading good stories, whether I've heard them many times or none at all. So, until then, I shall see you all later. Good night.